time. It's our time, my friends. Time for millions of maturepreneurs, 55 plus, who are hashtag not done by a long shot, to revolutionize how we lead, do business, and innovate our world. I'm your host, Joanne Anderson, and welcome to my conversations with fascinating people who would rather inspire than retire. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Maturepreneur podcast. I'm your hostess with the mostest, Joanne Anderson, and today I am here with the Reverend Dr. Joanne Angel BarryColon. Colon or colon?
Cologne.
Cologne. Okay, sorry about that. I forgot to check. And that is a mouthful, girl. Okay, but what's even more of a mouthful is her introduction. So I'm going to tell you a lot about Dr. Reverend Joanne, and we will then find out more about her and what the juicy, salacious details are behind the scenes, behind the website, etc. And then we're going to dive into our topic today of unlocking the metaphysical truth to menopause. What are the metaphysical meanings of typical symptoms, from first bleed to last bleed? And for those of you who are not currently in menopause, there's still going to be some insights and information for you. And really, we'll talk about all things metaphysical, including building a metaphysical business. So there's going to be lots of information for you, no matter what age or stage you're at. So welcome, Joanne. I'm glad you're here. Where are you currently physically in the world?
I am physically in New York, Queens, and super excited to be here to share all this information with you.
That's awesome. Okay, so it's an interesting area of passion, so I can't wait to find out how you got here. So I'm going to tell you about Joanne here. Reverend Dr. Joanne Angel BarryColon is the founder of Wholistic Fitness New York LLC, and she has over 4 decades of experience in health, fitness, nutrition, and wellness, and has blended many healing modalities into her practice over the last 15 years. She's a holistic integrative teacher, certified holistic personal trainer, Reiki master, medical astrologer, master of numerology, and she has a BS in health, fitness, and nutrition from Empire State University. She's also the host of Joanne's Healing Within, featured on Strong Island TV. And as if all of that and doing all of that wasn't enough, she's written 6 books, co-authored over a dozen more, and has written for Your Success Magazine, The Office Porch Magazine, and Brains, and other publications. Her purpose is to help women over 40 release emotional weight without dieting, get and stay strong, and create discipline with strength training. Her approach is not conventional, it's revolutionized. Reverend Dr. Joanne has helped over 20,000 women gain confidence, courage, strength, and the ability to pursue their soul's calling. All right. Do you ever sleep?
Yes, I do. In fact, I just had a nap.
Okay. Well, I don't know how you got all of that done, because that's a shit ton of stuff to get done. And by the way, I love your very colorful, very interesting background there. So tell us a little bit about you that we wouldn't guess from reading your website or your bio. What's something most people don't know, Joanne, about you?
Well, most people don't know about me, and that's not mentioned in my bio, besides the fact that you just mentioned about my background, which is my card deck that I created. But many people know about that, so we're just going to put that on the side.
Yeah.
What many people do not know about me, based on my bio, is that I am also a former professional dancer and competitive bodybuilder.
Interesting. Okay. What kind of dancer? What were you doing when you were a dancer?
Excuse me. I did all types of dance because I danced off Broadway. So I went from ballet, jazz, contemporary, street dancing.
Wow.
You name it, I had to do it.
And when did you take up bodybuilding?
I started bodybuilding when I was about 18 and did my first competition at 19.
Wow.
And my last competition was actually back in 2014, a month, not even a month, probably 3 weeks before I had a hip replacement.
Oh, wow. Okay. And how old were you then?
44.
Okay, awesome. So that's something that's been a lifelong passion and love. I had a guest on, Frank King, who took up bodybuilding at, I think he said he was 66, if I remember correctly, but don't quote me, because his theory was there would be far less people in the competition, so he had better odds of winning. So he took it up really late in life so that he could potentially win. He's still coming in fourth out of four, but he still loves it and is finding it fun and fascinating. So it's never too late to take up bodybuilding.
Exactly.
You have had a very colorful background, and obviously based on your title, Reverend Doctor, tell us a little bit more about your path and your journey and what your why is. So what's your purpose?
Okay, well, my path and my journey from the age of 12, I had my first opportunity to, I like to call it substitute and teach back then, known as a calisthenic class, which if we were to take a class today, it would be known as either group fitness, toning, something in that nature. Yeah. And in that very moment of teaching that class, I knew right then and there what it was that I wanted to do moving forward. Wow. And from the age of 12, that's exactly what I did. I went right into the fitness industry, did health, fitness, wellness, and just been passionate about wanting to help women based on the physical aspects of things, lose weight, get in their jeans, feel good, feel healthy, have strong, healthy blood pressure, etc. And then all that changed back in, we'll say about 2006, 2007, when a relationship that I was in for a very long time, 12 years, in my opinion, suddenly changed, suddenly ended. And from that point in time, when you spend that much time with one person, 12 years, you sort of lose track of who you are. And because of that, I went down this sort of rabbit hole of trying to figure out who I was without that person. Right. And did what's called a spiritual journey of discovering who I was from a soul level. And by doing so, as a personal trainer, blending many of the modalities that I started working in, such as reiki, crystals, essential oils, I started blending that into my practice. However, even though I blended it in my practice, I didn't really blend it into the practice where I was offering the service as one package. I was actually working with clients separately with the two different quote-unquote services until about 4 years after that breakup, my mom had crossed over unexpectedly. And through that, all of my, I'll use the word psychic abilities, like cracked open, where I was able to hear her, see her, feel her, smell her, taste her, everything else. And I just kept hearing her in my ear tell me that I really needed to blend the physical and the mystical together. Okay. So, which is how my business went from being, back then, Fitness R Us, to Wholistic with a W. This way here, transforming it into the whole person when working with them. And I just developed this passion for wanting to help women transform not just the physical, but help them transform their emotions, their mind, their spirit and soul, and help them a whole space for them so that they can have the confidence and courage to step away from their 9-to-5, step out of their old relationships, come away from old subconscious beliefs so they can solely embrace their soul's calling. So my why to doing what I do is because I am passionate about witnessing women move into their transformation, not just physically, but I get extremely lit up and excited when I know clients who have theoretically come to me with the idea of wanting to theoretically lose weight. Now, my belief system isn't about losing weight, it's about releasing weight. And the process behind the release portion of it is our weight is connected to whatever emotions we're storing. And when we address the emotions, which is usually the stories that we hold on to, and we address those stories and we work on healing them, we can release the emotional weight without actually dieting, changing the way we eat, and creating a healthier relationship with food. So that passion to watching clients transform on that emotional level, and even more so, most of them transforming into becoming authors, writers, speakers, and developing their own businesses. And that is my why. Okay.
So really passionate about transformation, and why does that matter to you so much? So why, I know it lights you up. I know it's exciting to see that transformation, but why does that matter to you so much that women are transforming into being who they really want to be?
It matters because it's that reflection where we're moving out of I can't do this and moving into I can do this. And even for myself, in regards to all the things that I've done in my lifetime, knowing that I'm going to hold that space for someone. So it really is about holding space and giving a woman the stage to know that there's someone there that supports them.
Yeah.
And not only supports, but really believes that they're capable of making that transition and transformation. And to me, that's really important.
Yeah, I hear you. And so for me, my why is that I want people to get that they matter and live like they do. And why that matters to me is because I always wanted to matter, wanted to get on the list, not even top of the list. I didn't want to get on the damn list. And so I know the pain of not being chosen, not mattering, not being, considered or cared about in that way. And so that's why I really want for people that transformation. And so when I see them get that they matter, it's I helped create that, supported that process, but also it reflects back to me. You said it reflects back to me that look, I matter. I'm making a difference there. So that really is big for me. So tell me a little bit about. It sounds like your journey is fairly, kind of linear, but I know it's not, because making the transition from being a physical trainer, which is fairly accepted, even though you were early in the genre, to weaving in the metaphysical, even in New York, where there's lots more tolerance and acceptance of woo-woo and so forth, would have been challenging. So tell me a little bit about how that was for you to start bringing that into your work.
Well, I mean, besides bringing it into my work, I think that was the easy part, was to bring it in, especially at the time when it was happening, because it was so open, and it's even becoming more and more open in reference to more and more people are becoming aware, and also being more open with themselves in reference that they have a gift. Mm-hmm. They have this ability. They may not understand, why it is that they feel something around them when they're sitting in a room by themselves, or why is it their ear is ringing, and it may not necessarily be a medical situation. Mm-hmm. So it's just that understanding. The interesting challenge to my work that I do isn't so much about the blending of the physical to the metaphysical. The interesting challenge was literally taking my business that was a storefront for 22 years and transitioning it to a virtual business.
Okay.
That's where the challenge was, and still is, in reference to, and I literally sit there now in this moment of time where ideally having access to everybody in the world now because I'm a virtual business, yet as the same token, it's like, but it's like in my own community, to get back out into the community and work with the people in my community. Whereas, again, it was this whole process of, okay, close down the storefront after 22 years, which had a big part of the pandemic energy. And a big part of that was most people were seeing me virtually. Most of my clients, rather than coming in physically, started just seeing me virtually. And there I was sitting in my storefront with my computer and this huge space fully loaded with equipment. And I'm looking around and like, okay, this doesn't make sense anymore. That here it is, I'm in my physical space and I'm working with clients virtually and I have no one in my physical space.
Yeah.
So it's like literally making that decision. And it was not a decision I made very lightly. It literally took me about 3 years from the pandemic, because the pandemic started in 2020.
Yeah.
Or actually 2 years. 2022 is when I actually made the final decision to close down the storefront and transition my business into a virtual business, and not have the space that sits out in front of me saying this doesn't make sense, and being able to connect with people worldwide, to work with people, to help women get to know who they are on a soul level.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use the word change their mind. And I don't know if that's really the best way of going about it and saying, but to get women to understand that we're not lifting weights because we want to be skinny. We're not lifting weights because we need to drop 20 pounds. We're not lifting weights because we want to fit into a bathing suit. Mm-hmm. We're lifting weights because we want to get to know who we are, mm-hmm. and discover the internal strength that we have, yeah. to push through whatever life challenges come at us.
Yeah.
That's where the challenge was, or yeah. is, and I'm working through that.
Yes. It's interesting because I love lifting weights. I don't like any other kind of exercise that much. Aquasize a bit, but I always feel strong. I always feel like, don't mess with me after I've done a session at the gym. And it's the only exercise that makes me feel that way. Like the others, it's like, okay, yeah, I feel better in my body, and that was helpful, and that was a good thing to do, but it's really still remains a should. But love working, well, love having worked out at the gym. Don't love getting to the gym, but love having worked out at the gym. Okay, so let's talk about how you shifted to your fascination with menopause. Where did that come into all of this? Obviously, our business and our focus shifts as we age. So, I shifted from supporting women entrepreneurs to supporting maturepreneurs when I got pissed off on a marketer's cruise when someone ignored me because I was older. And when the first time ageism really impinged on me, it was like, oh, no. I'm not tolerating one more ism. I've had sizeism, I've had sexism. I'm not tolerating ageism as well. So that's what started the Maturepreneur world. So as we shift and change, our focus shifts and changes, how come you started talking about metaphysical side of menopause?
Yeah, I love that question. Thank you for asking. And as I mentioned earlier about the pandemic, and it's just so interesting because when I do talk about this topic and any other topics, I always bring the pandemic into this. Yeah. Most people say, well, how does the pandemic have anything to do with that? And it has a lot to do. Now, let's back up just a little bit. In my world, when we talk about menopause or perimenopause, I don't remember ever hearing my mother ever talk about perimenopause or menopause, ever. Mm-hmm. I don't remember anyone in her generation ever talking about hot flashes and anything else. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I was familiar with it because I'm in the health industry, but I never heard women speak of it as loudly as they're speaking of it now. It's like, oh my God, it's like every other person is talking about all the symptoms that's associated with menopause, all the symptoms that's associated with perimenopause. Yeah. And over the years, I would speak to different women in so-called that age category, and I would ask certain women what their experience was like, and some women would talk and say, no experience at all. It just change of life, from one day to the next. That was it. And then I had other women who would talk about all the different symptoms that they've experienced. And I started researching in regards to the symptoms that many women would sit back and talk about in reference to, let's say, hot flash. Yeah. And again, based on, as you mentioned it earlier, the woo-woo. Yeah. When we are, and again, going back to the pandemic, when we were all forced to quiet down and be still and not be out and about, I truly believe the pandemic was a door opener for many people based on their tapping into their spiritual awakening. Yeah. And a part of the spiritual awakening is tapping into your psychic abilities. And any woman or any man who sits in meditation and speaks with spirit, their body temperature changes. And when their body temperature changes, that's going to either create a body temperature where it gets hot, or body temperature where it gets cold. And what I came to find is hot flash is a part of the symptoms that we experience when we are connecting to spirit, where our body temperature changes. So I started researching it from that point. And then again, going back to the pandemic, what I found to be true for me, and as you asked, what made me move into this category, this chapter, on a personal level for me, on the pandemic, March, we'll say Well, for me, it was March 4th. And then, of course, 2 weeks later, we went into that big shutdown period. So March 4th of 2020 was the last time I had my cycles. There was no signs of it changing, where many you would hear, and I did some research where you would go a full year. As long as you went a full year with no cycle, then you were in what's called perimenopause until that full year ended, and then you were in menopause. Never had that. Never experienced that.
Yeah.
Mine just stopped. March 4th, 2020 was my last cycle. It's literally 6 years now since I had a cycle. And I found it so unique that I'm like, okay, so I hear all these different women talking about the nightmares of menopause, the hot sweats, the getting up at 3 a.m., the frozen shoulder, the bloatedness, this thing, that thing. And I'm like, this is weird. Because I never experienced any of it. And I attuned to the fact that I connect with spirit. So anything that most women would contribute to menopause, I was experiencing it based on spirit. Okay. So if I got a hot flash, I was just aware that there was energy around me. Okay. I didn't quote unquote blame it on, oh, I'm having a hot flash. If I was experiencing getting up at 3 a.m., and I get up at 3 a.m. a lot, and the metaphysical explanation to the 3 a.m. wake up, which is what we call it, is spirit is communicating with you at 3 a.m. The number 3, based on numerology, is all about talking, speaking, listening, and learning with spirit. So I started just connecting the dots in a different way, where it wasn't about, well, this is about menopause, and that also just made the topic so much gentle and softer and easy to accept, as opposed to like, oh my God, these symptoms. So for me, moving into this chapter of life was really about my own experience of how I experienced, quote unquote, perimenopause into menopause. Right. And I became fascinated about it. And I should say it this way. I think spirit helped me become fascinated about it, because it was something that I felt that there was such a need to help other people, other women, other girls, really understand the other side of the coin when it comes to whether it's their menstrual cycle. And again, we can go back to a young girl getting her menstrual cycle for the first time, and all the terror that goes with that conversation of them getting their menstrual cycle, that leads up to eventually the cycle of menopause, and then the cycle of menopause in itself. And if we can, or if I can, change that for our young girls and help them see it in a different way, it takes away the stigma. It also takes away the resistance of this change of life that all women will experience at some point or another. And the concept of, when we sit back and talk about, well, perimenopause happens at a certain age, and then at a certain age we go through menopause. And even for the same concept of even like the first menstrual cycle, that happens at a certain age. In everything about that, I was not on the list for any of the normalcy to that. Like my first period, I was 15 years old. Who gets a period at 15 for the first time? Very few women, especially now. I mean, nowadays girls are getting their cycles so much earlier. And women nowadays, even though maybe back in the days you might have heard women who were, I mean, once upon a time, perimenopause, if a woman got her ended her cycle before the age of 55, that was qualified as premature menopause, not even menopause. And now when you really sit back and you listen to women who talk about their age that they're at when they go through that process, it's not so much about premature. The metaphysical truth to it is that when that chapter of life occurs, it's when we are actually ready to move into our wise wisdom womanhood. And at that point in time, depending on what age that is for a person, like for me, that was 50.
Yeah.
On my 50th birthday, all the wisdom that I've obtained in my lifetime, it was like, okay, I was ready to move into that next chapter, to tap into I like to call it my higher consciousness, and also the energy of going through what's called the Kundalini awakening, which is where we actually literally open the woman's wisdom. So to me, this is where my fascination comes from, and why I want to shout it out to the world, so I can help young girls so they can have a better relationship with their cycle.
Yeah.
And that I can help women that are approaching perimenopause so they can experience it, because it's an experience. It's like, wow, journal about it so you can really embrace what you're learning about yourself through that journey. So when you do get ready to like completely end the cycle of that 12-month period, where 1 year period, where your cycle comes to a complete end, that you learn so much about yourself in that time frame, that you are really ready to like step into your wisdom that you came here to step into.
Okay, well, maybe I made a big mistake, because I decided somewhere along the way, I'm not sure when, I have no idea when my last period was, but somewhere along the way, I decided I was going to skip menopause, because I had just seen so many women have challenges with it, and I just thought, nope, I'm just going to skip it. And so, honest to God, if I did have any symptoms, I didn't notice, or if I did, I didn't attribute it to that, because it was just off my radar altogether, right? So, and so it perhaps that's why it took me longer to get wise, or wiser. Let's talk a little bit about postmenopause, though, because a lot of women here, so there can be tremendous challenges going through menopause, or it can be just a cakewalk. There's all different experiences, or like me, just ignore it. But there often isn't a lot of conversation around postmenopause and the difference that makes physiologically, psychologically, metaphysically to women, physically. So postmenopause, again, can be like, someone told me menopause is actually only 1 day, but and you're talking about it as, kind of year to know when you're really done. But when women are older, and let's say they've gone through menopause, or they think they've gone through it, or whatever, what are some of the pros and cons of being in postmenopause? And what are some of the lessons that we are learning in that process, spiritually, physically, etc.? What's that about for us?
Well, I love the question. And before I dive into the answer, as you mentioned, when we talk about the process of going through the perimenopause into the menopause theoretically, like you said, is 1 day. Yeah. You realize your cycle comes to an end and it's done. And when we talk about the word postmenopause, in theory, there is no postmenopause. It's just done. It's just that, again, based on the medical industry and the health industry, it gives the industry an opportunity to expand on something that doesn't really exist. Once the cycle is over, the cycle is over. Yeah. You are now in this new chapter of life, where you just get to experience who you are without any of the other extra energies or weight, shall we call it, that you get to move through. So anything that a woman is experiencing based on things that they've been programmed or conditioned to believe, if they can reprogram their mind and rewire their brain to think that once their cycle has ended, that's it. Okay. That's it. It's like almost like having a baby, where you have the prenatal and the postnatal. Yeah. Once that baby's here and you go through your 6 weeks, where you're getting familiar with your new child, postnatal's done. That's it. There's no extra layer to it, other than what we've been conditioned to believe that there is.
If women, for instance, after having a baby, might go through postpartum depression, and yes. I know that there are women who go through quite a bit of changes later in life. Sometimes I've heard it described or ascribed to being postmenopausal, and or just the changes in how we see ourselves, because there's so much that's tied to, right or wrong, menopause, or sorry, our cycles, and that we are feminine when we come into that, and we're a woman, and so if it stops, are we no longer a woman because we can't have children, etc. There has been in the past a lot of stigma around, women's value coming from being able to have children. So now that you can't, what's your value coming from? Now we've shifted that somewhat, but I think that's still in our culture at some level. So there is a relief for me, anyways. There was a lot of relief about, okay, yay, I don't have my period anymore to deal with. I didn't have children and wasn't, based on results, going to have children. So I didn't have the grieving of it, very much, a little bit, periodically, about, okay, now I can't have children. But really, most of that is more related, if I'm honest, to shit, now I don't have anyone to take care of me when I'm old. So it's less than, really, if I'm being honest. And so what is the spiritual stage we enter into when we have gone through those two stages, the before, the during, and now the after? There's a lot of people talk about coming to our chromedom and so forth. What's your take on that?
Well, I love everything you just said, and a big part in regards to, yes, we've been programmed to believe that once our cycle ends, that what I'm hearing to say is like our femininehood comes to an end. Yeah. When we think about the word menopause, yes, I want us to think about it this way, and this is something that's in my actual book. What we're doing is we're pausing the masculine energy that many women have taken on full forcefully, and we're pausing it so we can embrace our feminine energy. So upon approaching this new chapter in life, we literally get to step into who we really are in the most graceful way with our feminine energy, so we can tap into receiving everything that we came on this earth to receive. Now, in addition to where we sit back and talk about, well, the cycle has ended, and possibly going through the grief of not having children anymore, or for a woman like yourself who's never had children, what this now allows us to is, because we are now actually activating our feminine energy, it also activates our ability to tap into our second chakra, which is our sacral chakra, to create. So if anything, we are actually in more power to literally create, to go through an actual pregnancy of creating our deepest desires, whether that is to be a writer, be the speaker, be the boss, be the author, whatever it is. Now we have this ability where we literally can tap into the gift, the presence of what do we want to create? Right. What do we want to create? Because now we get to birth something. And when we think about any project that we are birthing, I mean, I've had this conversation with many women in the process of, as they're getting closer to their project coming to that, let's say that final trimester, like a birth, their birth date. And there's a lot of like contractions that go with birthing a project. It's like, oh my God, I thought I was going to have that baby yesterday, but there's a delay. It didn't come on time. And think of it in that aspect where we are still creating. We're just not creating theoretically a child that we have to take care of, but even our projects, we still have to baby them, we have to nurture them, and we have to move into that space. So if there are women out there who are in that mindset of thinking that I've been programmed and conditioned to believe that once my cycle comes to end, that I need to lie down and die. No, this is a perfect time to take that deep breath, embrace the fact that that chapter of your life is over, and now you fully get to embrace your feminine energy to receive all that there is for you, and what program, what project, what is it that you really want to tap into so you can embrace and bring that alive and birth something brand new that you never thought you would. I mean, they say, and I can only say they say because I haven't reached the age yet, that when you reach your 60s and 70s and even your 80s, that is your best time of life.
I can say that because I am 65, almost 66, and it is. Every day is better. Now, it doesn't mean like physically there's challenges and mentally, cognitively, but it's also I get happier, I get more focused, I get more. Mostly what I get is I give less shits about approval and about twisting myself inside out to be something that I'm not. I am more free from approval issues and more free to be self-expressed and real and who I am and authentic. And like, hallelujah, I wish that came 40 years earlier, but it's here now. So I'm celebrating it. And that's part of why I love creating the Maturepreneur world, to support people in moving into what's next. Because what's next is not just about creating a business, although it can be that. It's about creating the next version, well, not even a version of ourselves, an expanding fully into who we fully are. Because we've only been parts of who we've been most of our life. And
yes, exactly.
those other parts, or we've denied them, or we've minimized them, or squished them. Now it's time to be in the fullness of us. And I love, 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 I love, in fact, I'm going to take on that reframing 100%, that menopause means to pause the masculine, be fully into the feminine, or more fully, because we all need both, but to be more fully in our feminine so we can receive. It's very interesting. I literally just went and looked up because I forgot if it's our right side or our left side that is the feminine side. And I literally just went and looked it up because I forgot. And so right side is our feminine side, and that it's about our ability to receive and to allow more receiving in. And I loved your line about receive everything we came here to receive. That's like my new mantra. I am here to receive everything I came here to receive. So let's talk for just a minute about a couple of things, and then I want to talk a little bit more about your journey and how you get so much done. In terms of this kind of stepping into our feminine energy and what are we birthing now? Honest to God, I'm in my 4th trimester of my movement, the Maturepreneur world, because we always, like you said, think it's going to come earlier, and sometimes that pregnancy just carries on. What is our superpower as we get into more of that feminine side of things? And because you're a lot about women's strength, what is our unique strength when, like, let's say from 50, 55 on, what is it that really and I know it's a vast generalization, but generalizations exist for a reason. They fit a lot of people. So what do you think is the primary thing that really shifts or is shifting now, especially for women as we get older? Because a lot of the population is getting older. What's that about?
I think you hit the nail. What's the expression? You hit the hammer on the nail.
Hit the nail on the head.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I think it really is about that when we do reach this point in life, we stop shrinking ourselves, we stop dimming our light, and we stop looking around for approval. And we really, and try to keep this as PG as we can, we really stop giving a shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when we let ourselves stop giving a shit, and this is going to go a little bit into some of the metaphysical symptoms that many women experience, when we do stop giving a shit, those women who experience the frozen shoulder, the frozen shoulder is everything that we hold on to, everyone else's problems that we hold on. It's the shoulds. I should have done it this way. I should have done it that way. Should have done it this way. Every time a woman tells themselves they should, they're literally putting that onto their shoulder, creating that tightness in their shoulder, which is why they have frozen shoulder. The minute they let go of that resistance of, I should have done it this way, no, I'm going to do it my way. And the minute we release that resistance is when our body completely releases the resistance that's been holding on to, and it gives us the ability to live freely as we want to, without the approval. We don't have to ask anymore. And I really think that is, for every woman, universally speaking, if you were to go and ask every woman, they would all say the same thing, that having the ability to not giving a shit what someone else is thinking about them, and they're going to do it anyway. The newest trend word that many people are using these days is, I'm going to do it afraid.
I'm going
Rather
to
than
do
not do it, I'm going to do it afraid.
Oh, you're going to do it afraid. Yeah. Yeah.
So rather than not doing it because I'm afraid to,
Yeah.
do it afraid. Do it afraid. And don't worry about what so-and-so is going to think about you if you do it. And when you hit that age,
yeah,
it don't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter anymore.
Well, and if you're listening to this and you're going, yeah, but I do still give a shit and I'm not quite there yet, give yourself permission to go there, first of all. Secondly, take a look at the price we pay for approval and how it's twisted us inside out our whole lives and had us give away our power. And if not now, then when, my friends? So, don't get to the end of your life with regrets about, I gave my power away all the time. It's time is now, not, so if not now, then when?
Exactly. That is one of my other favorite lines. In fact, I have it in my magazine that I create every month. If not now, when?
Right.
We're not promised tomorrow, and yesterday is gone.
Yes.
So why not do it now?
Yes. Okay. So let's switch. I do want to come back to the emotional weight release in a second, but let's switch. You mentioned your magazine. So how did you write 6 books and lots of other chapters? And you do a monthly magazine. What's your magazine called? Let's give it a plug.
My magazine is called Wholistic Healing, and that was birthed literally 1 year ago in March.
Okay.
And it was something talking about, as we talked about pregnancies, it was something that came to my forefront back in 2019.
Yeah.
I had a desire to want to create a magazine, except at that point in time, I didn't know the how-tos.
Yeah.
So I just put it on the back burner and never did. And then, of course, a year ago in March, literally on my birthday, everything happens on my birthday. It's the funniest thing in the world. And a year ago, March 4th of 2025, I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna put together a magazine. And there I did, and I created already 12 issues. I'm on I'm probably on my 14th one now because I'm working on my April issue as we speak. Mm-hmm. And it's just one of those things that I just enjoy doing.
So tell people what your business model is. What do you sell? How do you help people? And what's been the most challenging part of creating this new business model now that you're not doing training in person?
What do I sell? That's it. I love that question because I often say to myself, what do I sell? Because I don't really believe I sell anything. And what I mean by that is everything is energy. Mm-hmm. And I believe that the right people come to me for the sole purpose of they want to discover who they are. And that, again, based on the W in Wholistic, it's about the whole person. So they may initially come because they might have been told they have to drop 25 pounds. They might have to lower their blood pressure. But then once they get to sitting with me and I explain to them the whole process about this is not about weight loss in reference to the number on the scale as much as it's about discovering who you are and if you are really ready to let go of all the weight you've been carrying, the emotional weight, the physical weight, the psychological weight, the spiritual weight, and you are truly ready to let go of that. It's not about dieting, and it's not even about lifting weights. It's really just about making that decision to be ready to release the weight. The lifting weight portion of it all is just there to help, as we said earlier on, is there to really bring in the internal strength that we have so we can become stronger within our own body, so we can feel confident within our own body, so we can be able to do our everyday functional activities. And so that when we do reach the ripe age of 80 and 90 years old, we are not dependent on someone helping us get off the damn toilet or putting on our shoes. We can do it ourselves.
Yeah,
so
rapid. And that does require maintaining our strength in both psychologically and physically. So let me talk about, I'm just going to I'm going to be your guinea pig, okay? Because I'm overweight. I have been almost all of my life. I thought I was really overweight in high school, but when I look back on my pictures, I really wasn't actually. I was big, but I wasn't fat at the time. But most of the rest of my life I have been. Now, I've facilitated personal growth workshops. I've done a ton of personal growth work. I've done a lot of inner work and all the rest of it. And it's like, oh, for the love of God, I've done every kind of releasing I think I know how to do. And yet I still carry extra weight. Now, originally, I defined it as my way to keep safe from men, because men were not a safe thing growing up. They were not, lots of weirdness around that, incest, sexual abuse, etc. And so the fact that it took a while for it to manifest, as I got older and it became part of, moving into relationships, is when it really started to manifest. So I've kind of always attributed it to that. However, I've done a lot of work on that, and I still am not great with boundaries, but I'm like 100 times better than I ever was. Well, at least 50 times better. And yet the weight won't go. So what is that about, for the love of God? Because I think I've done all this work. I think I've done all this releasing. How come? Without my background and so forth, but because there are lots of people where they do a lot of the inner work and it doesn't seem to go. So what is the hook that's still there quite often?
Yes, and I love the question, and it's an important question that one needs to ask himself, especially like you said, you've done all the work, you made the connection to everything you've experienced with men, so you made that connection. What you now need to do is ask yourself, do you really want to let go of the weight? Well, or how is that weight helping you? When I use the word weight, when we think about weight, sometimes it's just a matter that we hold on to weight because the weight is anchoring us. Yeah. It's helping us to do the work that we came here to do. Yeah. To be able to sustain, especially when it comes to when we talk about like energy work. Yeah. When we are working with other people, energetically speaking, sometimes we need that weight to anchor us. Yep. Sometimes that weight is there to help us slow ourselves down so we're not constantly go, 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 go. Yep. So there's so many mental reasons to why someone chooses to hold on to weight, even though, yes, they've changed their dietary habits, they're lifting weights, as you said, they've gone through the psychological process of like, what is all this connected to, but yet still, I hold on to weight. Yep. Now, as you said earlier, and this again goes back into the concept of how we have been conditioned to believe that in your mind when you look in the mirror, because you've been told that you are overweight. Now, in the reality of all things, if you were to give yourself a different story, if you were to say when you look in the mirror, my body is exactly how it needs to be for me. I am healthy. I am strong. I eat well, I nourish my body, I'm mentally healthy, and you take on that energy as opposed to what you've been conditioned to believe for all these years, you may start to see a transition happening with your body, because what right now what the body is holding on to is what you've been conditioned to believe, that there's a number. In your mind, you may have a number that you believe that you're supposed to be, and because if you were to step on the scale, you don't see that number. So in your mind, it's like, well, I'm still not there yet. Yeah. So it's like a punishment.
So let me interrupt you, because I know the answer to this next question, having done this work a long time. But and I also think there's elements of, I was holding on to my mother for a long time, and then she died and all of that went away. I think there's elements of taking up space in the world because I was invisible for a long time. This is a way to be seen. There's a lot of different layers to this. Yeah. And for those people who are saying to themselves, because I can hear them saying, well, I can't look in the mirror and tell myself that I'm healthy and that I'm physically perfect, wonderful, and this is exactly how I should be, because I don't believe it. My bullshit meter will go off because I'm not healthy. So what would you say to those people? Because I can hear them dismissing what you just suggested. And so what would you tell them?
All right. So if we have that person who can't look in the mirror and cannot tell themselves that they are healthy, then that's what we have to address. Why is it they're not healthy? What do we need to do to help you get healthier? Right. So there's another layer we have to go through. So it's not necessarily just about the weight. There's another layer. And as I always say to clients, as clients say, and we hear this a lot, we hear people say, oh, I'm healed. I've done all my healing work. There's no such thing as being healed. There's always another layer that we're going to pull back on and realize like, oh, I have to work on that now. It's a process. As long as we have a pulse And every one of us do. There's work to be done. And it just may be another layer. So if we have a woman who cannot look in the mirror,
Yes.
that's work right there. They cannot see their own reflection, so they have to do the work so they can get to that point.
So,
And I use the word have to. I wanna subtract that. It's not about a have to.
yeah.
It should be when they want to.
Yes. Yeah.
When they want to. Because this is not an obligation. When they want to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to step in because I can also hear you all saying, because I've got elements of this myself. Oh my God, does this at work ever end? Can I just be done? Can I finally just be good enough and healed and blah, 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 blah. And so when you said that, where there's always another layer, it's true. We're multifaceted human beings. There's always another layer. So one of the ways that I think about it is I am infinitely deep and fast. And so there's always more I can learn about myself. It's not that I will never be done trying to be good enough or right, or it's not about I'm perpetually have to fix myself. It is that there is always more to me to explore. So
and the other thing to what you're saying too, which I totally agree, is the accepting themselves where they are. So if they are okay with where they are, then they're okay with where they are. There may come another time in their life in a different chapter that they decide that they want to go back and review that layer. But if they're, and it's all about acceptance. They have to accept themselves, just like we said earlier. We're no longer looking for approval from others.
Yeah.
It's now accepting this from ourselves.
Yes. Amen, sister. All right. So where can people find out more about you or connect with you?
Easiest place is connecting with me through Facebook. I'm all over the place. My YouTube channel is the same as my business name, Wholistic Fitness NY. And if they want to reach out to me, my email is plastered everywhere, healingwithin76@gmail.com.
Okay, so Wholistic with the WHOLISTIC fitness NY New York.
Oh wait, we're gonna correct that. Sorry, it's not NY for New York. It's just NY.
Okay.
We don't want to confuse anyone. It's just Holistic Fitness NY, not New York.
Okay, but you are in New York, right?
Yes, I am in New York, but I don't want people to get confused and think it's a Holistic Fitness NY that's abbreviated for New York. It's not abbreviated. It's just NY.
Okay. And healingwithin76@gmail.com, you also have a gift for them that they can email you for. So what is that gift?
Yes, they can receive a complimentary 15-minute self-discovery with me where they and I sit together. And we could talk about one thing that they want to discover about themselves. And through that discovery, a big staple of what I do in my business is we tap into their astrological makeup so they can discover who they are, astrologically speaking.
Okay, awesome. So that's a complimentary 15-minute session, and you can get a lot of information in 15 minutes. Many of you will be thinking, oh, we'll just get started, but you can get a lot of information. As you can tell, Joanne is very on it. Okay, and so that's healingwithin76@gmail.com. Okay, and so one question for you in terms of your prolificness. So you've got a magazine, you've got all these books, you've got a TV show, you submit to articles to magazines. How do you have time to run a business and deal with clients? How do you get all this done?
How do I get it all done? Well, I truly believe that anything you enjoy doing, you find time to do.
Yeah.
And I'm really good at time managing.
Okay, so you've just developed some disciplines around how you do what you do. And I would imagine the lifetime of bodybuilding has created quite a bit of discipline in you. So that helps too, to be able to be really focused on what you want to be focused on.
I'm very structured, very structured. It's like, okay, this is going to get done today between this time and this time. And then the next thing gets done. And the next thing gets done. And some days I am human where I say, okay, I'm not doing anything.
Good. It's good to know that it's not 100% of the time. All right. So do reach out to Joanne and book that healingwithin76@gmail.com for your Unlock Your Astrological Makeup question, where you get to ask one thing and get some input on that. And those of you who we were talking earlier about really clarifying what's next for you and stepping into that powerfully, and you may not know what that is. That's why I created the Clarity Compass workshop, so that you could design your vision for the next 20, 30, 40 years for many of you. And what do you want your life to look like? What would be pleasurable for you now? What is your desire to be, do, and have? And then also take a look at, what is your purpose? What is your why? We're talking about our why when we started this whole thing. Many people think it's what we do, so they've been told their whole life, and then when they are no longer that thing, they feel like they don't have an identity. If that's you, your purpose is not what you do. It's why you do what you do. So we'll figure that out. And then what are the next steps for you? What do you want to create? And how do you start stepping into that? It's online. Go to maturepreneur.world. Hopefully the new website will be up, and so you can see the Clarity Compass workshop. If not, just have patience and come back. But it is the Clarity Compass workshop, and it's a first step for you to really clarify. Or if you've been in business for a while and you're having a struggle figuring out what's next now, should I scale up? Should I scale down? I'm stuck, I'm stalled. It's really good to come back to those foundations of vision, purpose, and now what's next. So please do join me for the Clarity Compass workshop. It's super affordable, under $200, and will get you going in the right direction again. And reach out to Dr. Reverend Joanne Angel BarryColon to have some input from another perspective, from that metaphysical side of things, and also to talk to her about how you can work together to get strong again, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, because there is nothing more empowering than feeling like your strong, badass self. So, Joanne, I'm going to throw it back to you for your final words of wisdom. What would you like people to remember and take away from our conversation?
Oh, to remember and take away. I think the word I'm going to use for today is shine your light. Shine your light. That's what I want you to take away today. Shine your light. Only way to shine your light is to not worry or care about what other people think about you. Shine your light.
Beautiful. I have nothing to add to that. That's a great piece of advice. All right, my friends, may you have a wonderful week this week. Please subscribe and share this podcast. Shine your light so that you can be the difference that only you can be. Bye for now. Thank you for listening. I'd love it if you left a comment and subscribed. And I encourage you to apply one aha from this interview right away, so you can turn your wisdom into wealth and your contribution into positive change. Bye for now.